What is fate? Fate means measure. When we say quantity, amount, how much, we actually imply the word fate. In the Qur'an, measure means code, algorithm, divine knowledge, divine law, divine program and rule. In Surah Al-Qamar, chapter 54, verse 49, it says, "Indeed, all things we created with predestination," which means that we did not create anything randomly. This is the verse that faith is most clearly involved in the Qur'an. And it means that we have created everything by measure, based on a rule, on the basis of a law, not randomly. The Qur'an rejects fatalism. The Qur'an expresses fate, but rejects fatalism. Fatalism is to deny and reject the responsibility of the person involved in the events. Fatalism is the religion of Satan, according to the Qur'an. Because in the Qur'an, the devil accuses God and blames him, saying, "You deflected me." In the verse Surah Al A'raf, chapter 7, verse 19, and in the verse Surah Al-Hijr, chapter 15, verse 39, he blames with the accusation, "You deflected me." Actually, if God deflected the devil, then he should not have called the devil to account. If he calls him to account, then God did not deflect him. He himself did so. As a matter of fact, Adam also sinned, and the devil did too. Adam also rioted, and the devil did too. But Adam confessed his sin. He repented and became a man. Satan insisted on his sin. He said, "You deflected me." He blamed God, became Satan, and became the devil. Polytheists were fatalists. We learn this from Surah Al chapter 6, verse 148. If God willed, he would not commit shirk. Yazid thought exactly like the idolaters, even though he was Muslim seemingly, when he murdered Hussein. He said, God killed him. That is precisely the idolaters' belief in destiny. In 1991, the tunnel entrances were being blocked for a Saudi prince to pass in Mecca during pilgrimage time, and 6,000 pilgrims were crushing each other. We know it very well. We remember those days very well. The official explanation of the Saudis is the volition of God. That is to say, that is to commit the murder and to bill all responsibility to God. Therefore, this is not faith in destiny, but in fact, to deny faith. God puts a measure, and 3 or 4 million pilgrims, according to that measure, are crushed if you stop the inhibited pilgrimage from coming from behind. That was fate. That was the measure. They did not obey the measure of God. And at a place where even a fly was forbidden to be killed, 6,000 pilgrims died. And they called it the will of God. No one took responsibility. Again, in 1999, there was an earthquake in Turkey, Yalova and Adapazarı, and 30,000 people died. However, another earthquake took place in Kobe, Japan, with a higher magnitude of 7.6. 6 people died in Kobe, 30,000 people in Yalova. 5 days afterwards, the Prime Minister of the time made a declaration to the media, will of God. This was slandering to God. This is not faith in fate. This is the denial of fate. It is denying God's measure. God has put a measure in regards to building houses. If you build houses on the fault lines where a construction permit was not given, build structures with missing materials, you make it a grave for those who live in those buildings. This is actually going against fate. It is not faith in fate. Also, traditional Muslims added the fatality of the demons and idolaters to the condition of their faith. Let me summarize the question this way. In the Qur'an, there is fate. Fate is God's creation of all things according to a measure, establishing a measure for all things. So, it is the Sunnah, tradition of God. It is the canonical creation of God. Fatalism does not exist in the Qur'an, and neither in Islam nor in religion. Fatalism is the religion of demons and idolaters.